taking the first position on the start line.
Good morning, a very warm welcome here to Bieles in Luxembourg for the second day of the UCI 2017 Cyclo-cross World Championships as we get ready to bring you the men's under-23 race. Well, the weather conditions overnight have totally changed from what we saw yesterday. The number of fans has increased again, a huge crowd making their way in here to this cyclocross arena, ready for these two world titles today that will decide the under-23 men and the elite men. Luxembourg, of course, a rider's paradise, beautiful scenery, great tradition and lots of history. A very special year in cycling for this country as we welcome the usual Skoda Tour de Luxembourg and two stages of the Tour de France on the 3rd and the 4th of July. Yesterday, Andy Schleck was here. He's the ambassador of the World Cyclo-cross Championships. He, of course, won the Tour de France in 2010 and the Giro d'Italia in 2007. He was second. But a great place to ride your bike and a great place to host the World Championships of Cyclo-cross. As we look here at the pits area, and lots of the fan clubs are here to cheer on these young riders who are looking to try and win the rainbow bands. Here's the course. I'm going to introduce Simon Burney to you. Simon, you've had a walk round the course. It's changed a lot.
It has changed. I've come back with muddy shoes. It's the snow's all gone, the ice is melting, there's puddles on the course, there's mud, and it's going to be a totally different surface to the one we saw yesterday's races on. Yeah, significantly different.
Well, the course yesterday produced some incredible racing, an emotional day for many, and some great memories to take away from what was a series of 3 races that produced every single possible outcome that you could have imagined. These riders then are making their way to the start line. They would have expected freezing cold conditions. The weather is much warmer, maybe another couple of degrees been added on, but it is more the mud that they have to endure. This, of course, Simon, was the look at the course when it was icy. Same course, but it's going to be riding very differently.
It is. I think it's one of the beauties of cyclocross. You know, you can have the same course on 2 days and it can be totally different racing and totally different conditions. And all this snow that we're seeing now, this is from Thursday. It was very similar yesterday. The snow was still there. The ice was on the corners. But all today, it's all gone. It's there's a black line of mud. A few little sections where it's been in the shade and maybe the rain that fell overnight, it's not quite got to it, but it's, for all intents and purposes, it's more of a muddy race than an ice race that we saw yesterday.
Well, it's saying 2 degrees centigrade, 9 kilometres an hour. The wind has picked up for certain. It's a little bit misty rain that is falling outside, but that looks totally different to yesterday. And there'll be riders, of course, who've woken up this morning, having looked at the forecast, we're expecting a bit of snow, who will be now thinking this is not my day, and some who will be thinking this is absolutely what I wanted.
Yeah, I think more the latter. I think more people prefer not to race on the ice than probably do. The ones that do are the real specialists in it, but it's only a handful of people really. I think it's opened it up to a lot more riders' capabilities. It's conditions that you're used to seeing, so more mud and again, we're saying mud. The ground's still rock hard. It's probably a centimetre or 2 of mud on the top surface. But there is standing water on the course, and that's just going to continue to thaw the ground. But it's not going to become a running race because of the mud. It's just going to mean that there's grip, which is what was sadly lacking yesterday in all 3 races.
For sure. Here's the start list led by Ali Isabit, who is the defending champion. A very strong Belgian squad there with Quinten Hermans and Thies Arts. Clement Rousseau leads the French team there. Rousseau finished 3rd in the World Cup this season. Gioli Bertolini of Italy is a possible winner here, having finished 4th in the World Cup. The American team, very strong, led by Curtis White, but Gage Hecht also there. Oh no, Curtis, of course, Simon's just reminded me, has not taken to the start. He was sick yesterday, so we're not going to see him take the start, so the team will be led by Gage Hecht instead. He'll be perhaps the big favourite there of the American team. And of course, Simon Andreasen there of Denmark, who is a rider that we saw win a junior world title in the past. In total, we're going to see 56 riders take to the start line. Billy Harding of Great Britain. He's got a hard act to follow after yesterday. What an emotional start to yesterday's racing. Thanks for reminding me about Curtis, Simon. I noticed his tweets last night. I should have remembered that. But he'll be really disappointed because he's a rider who's always up there in these type of races.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think it was a late call as well. We were actually having dinner with the UCI doctor when he got the call about 9 o'clock last night to give him the certificate that means he doesn't have to take to the start. So yeah, once you've signed on and picked your numbers up, then you do have to speak to the UCI doctor to be allowed not to start. Well, be allowed not to have a pass away for not taking to the start without a good reason. But yeah, very sad that he's sick. It's a long way to come and a lot of preparation just to be sick on the day before the race.
Exactly. There's the rundown of the previous winners. Some big names there of both cyclocross and road, with Lars Boom and Niels Albert, Lars van der Haar, Wout van Aert, who will feature later in the elite race. And many top riders have won this under-23 title, which goes back to 1996. First run in France, it was Miguel Martinez who was the first ever winner. The second winner was Sven Nys. Followed up, he back-to-backed the racing. Then Bart Vellens was also a big winner. So's Zdeněk Štýbar. As we look there at our commissaires panel and all the supporters who make sure that the rules are abided by and the course is safe and the results come out at the right time. We're here on the start line then, as we get ready to introduce the riders for the start of this under-23 title. The last-minute checks and the jerseys will be revealed as they take off their top layers. There's the Italian rider there on the left-hand side, just getting ready. That's Bertolini, who's been on good form recently. Second in Fuji, alongside him, Eli Iserbyt. A couple of places along. And the Belgians will be getting, I'm sure, ready for a very fast start. Quinten Hermans and the rest of the team, they're all across the front row of the grid here. And we're only a few minutes left from the race start. Now, we saw Simon this start in 1996, but since they split this out, we've got 56 riders taken to the start, and it makes for a very strong field.
It does, and when you saw the list of previous winners as well, you know, these guys always go on to great elite careers, whether it's carrying on with cyclocross or moving on to the road. I don't think we've got a name on that list in the last 10 years that people aren't still talking about in one of the disciplines of the sport. So it's the pathway to elite stardom.
Quinten Hermans, a quick look at his tyres, the tyre selection there.
Yeah, mud tyres, Dugas Rhinos. Again, still quite hard surface, so tyre pressures won't be super soft. There's still some edges on there to catch you out if you're running too low a pressure. Yesterday we talked about it a little bit, 1.3, 1.4 bars would be normal, depending on kind of rider weight and riding style. But there's definitely still some hard ground under the mud that can pinch your tyre if you're running them too soft.
That was Joris Nieuwenhuis. Alongside him is Felipe Ort of Spain on the front road of the grid. Alongside him is Nicolas Klepper of Belgium, getting ready to go powering off the start line. Alongside him, Thies Aerts, the junior world champion in 2014, and has been looking really good recently, so we could see him do something. They're all ready now as the tape gets drawn back, the red lights are on, and we're getting ready for the race start of the under-23 men's race here in Bieles in Luxembourg. Let's see who gets the fastest start. Not so slidey round the first corner now as they get underway, and we're going to see who takes the race start. It looks like Rousseau's got a very good start on the left-hand side there for France, and alongside him Thies Aerts also has got a good start, but it's Rousseau of France who takes the first corner, and he got, like the French yesterday, a really strong start.
Yes, a lot of the sand that they've put down on the sections that were very, very icy yesterday is now quite wet and quite sticky, mixing with the mud that's under that surface. The sand and the salt that they put down to try to ease the crashes on the ice yesterday has done its job overnight, so all that's gone, but it has created a little bit of stickiness in places. I think we might see riders going for a bike change, maybe just once, maybe twice, just to... It's quite gritty as well to get clean bikes, smooth shifting. I don't think it's filling tyre treads up significantly at the moment. Whether it does later on in the day, if this thaw continues, we'll have to wait and see.
Problem here for number 55, that's Henrik Jansson of Sweden, who's been left behind. So Russo leads ahead of Tissart, 6th in the World Cup this season. Simon Andreasen, who's a rider that I remember, Simon, a couple of years ago, you tipped him to win the World Championship as a junior, and he did. He's a very strong rider indeed.
He is, yeah, very good mountain biker. Represented Denmark in Rio this year as a youngster, but very good, talented all-round off-road rider. Definitely one to watch here, and he's had a good start. Moved from second row start up into fourth right now.
Noticed that Ellie is a bit the defending champion. He's not had the best of starts here. Is sitting maybe about 10th place right now, wearing number 1. But Russo looking good at this moment in time. But yesterday we saw the French go out early on in the junior race, and then he had so much misfortune. We hope that that doesn't happen to this rider here. Bertolini is the tail rider at this first kind of group of riders. Is a bit trying to get across now to the wheel of Bertolini. Just see him. He's having to work really hard though to get there. And one long line now as they make their way onto the flatter little section here before they will start the more technical sections. Coming to the front then, the Dutch rider, looks like Nieuwenhuis, who has made his way to the front. This guy's very, very talented. The World Cup winner, 4 wins in the World Cup, Simon. He likes to ride at the front as well. He prefers to get a bit of a gap on everybody else, as the Frenchman makes a big mistake.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Obviously, can't get his feet back in his pedals. Yeah, Nieuwenhuis is very strong, one to watch. The one that didn't quite get the start right was Quinten Hermans as well. He was back there with Elisabeth, just inside the top 10. Hermans again, one of the very, very strong Belgian guys for the day like today.
Andreasen going well here at the front of this race, the Danish rider. Do join us on Twitter today if you'd like to, at Ant McCrossan, at Simon Burney. Thanks for all your messages yesterday. We had so many, and apologies we haven't answered every single one of them. But it was great to join you all for an emotional and exciting day for all the riders. Michael Burton, welcome to the race as we see number 3, Tissart, crash there. And Thies, of course, as a former junior world champion. A couple of years later is the time when they start to show a bit more strength in the under-23 category normally, because they've developed a little bit further, as we see Billy Harding go through for Great Britain, and alongside him was number 53, Tiemann Rugg. And a problem here at the side of the track for the Dutch rider. This is Guus van der Meer, who's got a big chain problem, can't get it back on.
Nice of him to get out of the way of the other riders.
Andreasen still looking good, Simon, here at the front.
Yeah, technically very adept as well. You know, you'll see him flicking his bike around these corners without a care in the world. Again, it's interesting, after we were talking yesterday, a little bit of new world cross. We've got a Dane and a Spaniard in the top 3, and the Belgians are on the back foot a little bit at the moment.
Just having a look here. Oh, that was the crash that took him out. And he held up number 24 then, Adil Coladani of Italy, who is now
deraillierless, unfortunately.
This is Jacob Doragoni, who's completely deraillierless. It's a new verb, I think. Here goes Andreasen at the front. A little bit of a big gap now.
That's a gap.
Very big gap to these two guys, and you don't want to give Andreasen and Nieuwenhuis any sort of gap like this. Nieuwenhuis loves to ride a cyclocross race right from the front. Great to see this Spanish rider there, though. This is the rider who's on the front row of the grid, Filippo Orts, who is 8th at the moment in the rankings, and born in 1995. He's the rider who is making his way up that climb in 3rd place. It'd be fantastic if we saw the Spanish riders emerge again in cyclocross and finish in the positions to take a medal. It's looking good, a bit in no man's land, but he's in a strong position.
He is, and Klepper's the only Belgian. He's a bit trying to make his way back through, but I think Isabit and Quinten Hermans definitely missed that kind of initial first half lap. Put them on the back foot a little bit. I'm going to have to work hard to get back up to Nieuwenhuis and Andreasen right now.
You talked before, like yesterday, about the expectations on the shoulder of a defending champion. We saw Evie Richards, who dealt with it very well. She finished in the 3rd place, got bronze medal, but it's so hard, isn't it, for a youngster to just compose themselves and defend their title.
It is, and I think we said yesterday, it's a lose-lose, really. If you win, well, you're expected to win. You're a year older and you won it the year before. If you lose, well, you know, you're a year older. Why aren't you better now than you were a year ago? And it's a difficult situation to be in. And I think Evie Richards dealt with it superbly yesterday, and she was delighted at the finish. You could see the joy on her face. So I think she'd gone into it with the right expectations and without that pressure on herself. Nieuwenhuis is sliding around. So you can see the mud on the top surface, but it's still rock hard and a couple of centimetres underneath. And it's such a steep camber that it's impossible to walk on. I've missed that section out this morning on the course, course walk. Yeah, you just can't walk on it. It's so steep. The camera angle flattens it, but you can see was it Bertolini, the Italian, just at the bottom there. You can tell by his kind of scuttling along, just trying to push himself along with his foot, how much of an angle he was on.
Andreasen dropping back a little bit here. Nieuwenhuis looks really comfortable at the front of this race as he kicks it on the adverse camber when he hit the base there.
There's a big rut down there. That's the one that was catching a few of the women out yesterday afternoon.
Andreasen not starting this camber quite so well.
No, quite tentative. Yeah. Quite a surprise, but he's kept a higher line and he missed that bottom rut out. So that was flipping people off the bikes yesterday.
And now, because you've got so wet surface at the bottom, the tyres aren't going to grip quite so well when you hit that base of that descent. Yeah,
the bottom of that is actually concrete as well, and now it's got sand on it from yesterday trying to thaw the ice, and now it's got mud on top of that, so it's a slippery surface to finish that section on.
Nieuwenhuis, 7:30 for the first lap. It looks like Andreasen is suffering a little bit here in 2nd place, having gone with the attack of Nieuwenhuis. Now he doesn't look to be quite so comfortable. He's around about 16 seconds down he's lost on that little section. So Nieuwenhuis leads after 1 lap, an average speed of 24.27 kilometers an hour. 2nd place Andreasen, 17 seconds down. Nicolas Klepper, 21 seconds down. Felipe Orts of Spain in 4th at 21. Nelly Isabit is now 23 seconds down in 5th place. Sieben Wouters of the Netherlands in 6th. Bertolini of Italy in 7th. Dubois of France is now in 8th. And in 9th is Quinten Hermans, and 10th is Thies Arts, the first American rider, Cooper Wilsley. 14th place, but this guy, at this moment in time, we've seen him do this in the World Cups so many times this season. Once he gets the lead, he can just relax, and he looks like he's out on a nice steady ride, but he's actually just flowing across the lines.
Yeah, he's looking good. I think Andreasen's paying a little bit for that effort, trying to stick with Nieuwenhuis for that first, the second half of that first lap. Isabit, I noticed he was moved up to 4th. It looks like he's starting to move forward, but again, he's going to have a job on his hands to close down a significant gap now to Nieuwenhuis at the front. 15, 16 seconds isn't really what you want to be giving away on the opening lap of a World Championships to a rider that's obviously proven and able to go the distance.
Well, of course, when you start, you can either start really flat out and then taper off a little bit and ride at a level, or you use your energy in a different way and try and use a big spike in performance later on in the race. And Andreasen looks like he's gone out and absolutely gone over his peak very early and hasn't been able to stay with Nieuwenhuis, and now he's just having to hold on and recover let the body come back a little bit, if indeed it does, and if his body is now really suffering, because he looks like he's suffering. You can see the look on his face. It's no more comfort than he had at the beginning. Then he may well start to fade, but let's hope not. He's gone out and tried to go with the big attack, as Isabit finally gets into second place and is now focused on the chase to try and bring Nieuwenhuis back, but he's got an awful lot of work to do. Onto the hurdles, or the barriers apparently, that Sven Nys called them yesterday. Nieuwenhuis is our leader, a huge crowd. Enjoying the racing. Thanks to all of you who are having parties to enjoy the Under-23 World Championships. Hello to the Solent Pirates who are enjoying the racing. The best costume I've now seen around this course is the bunch of Belgians dressed as freaks.
Yeah, some imagination gone into some of the costumes, like the guys dressed as Lego men yesterday.
Did you? I didn't see them.
And Tom Pidcock, yesterday's junior world champion, was dancing on the stage in the beer tent yesterday with a Lego man hat on, head on.
Was he?
Yeah, and a big Union Jack.
Brilliant.
Yeah, just so we knew he was a Brit.
Excellent.
Oh, Isabit down.
Crash for Isabit. Is the bike okay? That's the big question. Is that derailleur still intact? That's what we've seen snapping off all the time. Well, the defending champion just lost it. Watch this. Slides it into the mud.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday about if you're going to crash, well, on a corner like that, you can only crash on your right-hand side, and that's the derailleur side. And it's in the days of quite easily bending derailleur hangers and derailleurs, it is a risk, and we've seen a lot of derailleurs breaking, a lot of chains coming off as well.
Yeah, it can cost you the entire race, can't it? I mean, we saw Marianne Vos yesterday trying to get her chain back on. She was really lucky that she didn't lose the derailleur, otherwise that would have cost her a medal completely. But
well, the Frenchman in the junior race that was leading with Pidcock and lost the derailleur and lost a shoe and lost the race.
Yeah, you've got to have a little bit of luck on the course as well as being able to ride these lines, and I must admit these riders in the last 24 hours have made this course look so easy, and it's far from easy. It's so difficult. The cambers are incredibly tough, as Simon's said. You've got really difficult terrains to deal with. You've got a really charged crowd who are just urging you on, which gets your adrenaline absolutely sky high. There's so much to deal with around this course. It's very noisy indeed out here. There's a massive beer tent which has got, as Simon said, a party going on in it, and it is incredibly loud. There's so much to go on, and just calm yourself down is very difficult in here. Isabit's having a terrible time right now. I don't know how he righted that.
Yeah, Andreassen's hanging in there. I was worrying that he might just drift out of the top 10 on that second lap. He was looking a little bit gassed from the effort of trying to stay with Nieuwenhuis, but he's regrouped. It's quite hard to recover when you're riding at threshold, but he's done a good job of that. He's still quite happy to push on as well with Bertolini.
Yeah, Bertolini's an interesting rider. We've seen him in the under-23 races. Actually, he doesn't start very quickly, but watch him later on in the race. He's a mountain biker, but he has turned to cross, but he generally starts slow, but at the end of the race really motors. We've seen him particularly in Fujian a couple of weeks ago, where he suddenly just came through the field, and then was actually hunting down the eventual winner and looked close to taking the victory. So we may well see him accelerate as this race continues. Nieuwenhuis has to get off. How did he do that?
That was impressive. It's a long way down on a camber. Yeah, Bertolini, he's a very emotional rider as well. He rides and he's fueled by the emotions. Kind of Italian style, I guess.
It's all about passion.
It is, absolutely. And I think
he's
a bit hurt himself there.
Oh, that's really hurt.
Something stings.
So Isabit's had 2 crashes so far, and they've not been easy ones. They've been really tough crashes. The defending champion's pushing and pushing, but he's also making mistakes, which is what happens when you're going so flat out. Yeah, Bertolini, fueled by passion. Another crash.
And if it's going well, if it's going well for him, he'll just keep going faster and faster. And I think that was the case in Fuji 2 weeks ago. If it's going badly, you know, he'll just be anonymous, and sometimes he won't even finish. So he's an interesting character, and you'll see the emotion if he does a good ride today at the finish. He doesn't hide it.
No, absolutely not. Well, Bertolini there, as we see Nieuwenhuis coming round to complete lap number 2. That's been a pretty fast lap, that one.
7:32.
He looks very, very strong indeed. Nieuwenhuis, 7:33 for that lap, 7:32. Another fast lap of 24.16 kilometers an hour at the end of that lap. It looks like we've got 5 laps to go. So we're going to do 7 laps.
Yep.
As they work their way through the puddles at the bottom of that and continue uphill. The next rider coming round is Nicolas Klepper of Belgium, making his way across the line, and that is going to be 38 seconds the advantage.
That's huge.
There's a massive gap to Nieuwenhuis. And behind him, as they cross the line now, Bertolini 40 seconds down, Andreasen 41, Thijs Aerts 41 seconds, Felipe Orts 6th place now. But Nieuwenhuis has got so much daylight between him and the rest of the field. Elie Iserbyt, the defending champion, after 2 crashes, is going to come through 13th, 1 minute and 5 seconds down on the leading rider. At this moment in time, that's a massive ask for him to get anywhere near the leading rider. But we'll see what happens as this race continues.
Spencer Petrov, first American for the ones that have been waking up early to watch this in the US, 16th at 1:12. First Swiss, Johan Jacobs, 20th.
We see then the chase starting to happen with Nicolas Klepper, Bertolini, and with them is Thijs Aerts, trying to just get something going to bring this race back together. But Nieuwenhuis went through this section a long, long time ago. 38 seconds, still his advantage. And he doesn't look to be going faster than the other riders. He's just through these little turns and twists. He's picking up a second here, a second there as he goes into the pits now. Doesn't want to leave anything to chance. Nice fast bike change and back into the race as quickly as possible.
And when you've got a lead like that, bike changes makes absolute sense. Nice clean bike, clean pedals, clean tyres, good shifting, and probably only loses 2 or 3 seconds. It's quite a fast entry into that pit. You do lose in a couple of seconds, but it's for him it's certainly worthwhile.
Now he's on a nice clean bike. Won't be clean for too long, but as we update on a few other nations, Simon mentioned Spencer Petrov, 16th for USA. Cooper Wilsley, 19th for the United States of America. Johan Jacobs of Switzerland, 21st place. Also Lance Hede, 25th place for the United States of America. And we have also running now Billy Harding, 38th place, 2:29 down after a very strong start. But he's kind of fading away a little bit now. This trio going for the medals, led by number 4, Nicolas Klepper, onto the jumps, the hurdles, the barriers, as we see Bertolini. Lovely style there as he went through.
Yeah, while you were running through the other nations, we saw Bertolini trying to get some blood back into his fingers. He's obviously got cold hands. The water that's the standing water on the course now that's going to be covering these riders is just above freezing. So he's obviously got cold hands, picking the bike up for the stairs as well. Tend to get wet, muddy hands. Having said that, which Belgian was that? Thijs Aerts with no gloves on.
No gloves at all.
Yeah.
It's freezing out here. He obviously just wants a little bit more feeling in those hands if they stay warm.
That's hard. He must be one of these that's, if it's not below freezing, I'm not wearing gloves.
Yeah.
School.
Remember, we always used to have a guy on our club run who used to come out. He was previously in the army, and his belief was if you went out for 10 minutes, stopped for 30 seconds, then within another 30 seconds your hands would be lovely and warm. That was his mindset.
But then he's 30 seconds off the back of the club
exactly.
run.
We never let him catch up. Right, this is the trio behind. The Frenchman is trying to get across. Thanks to Mark Hamilton for your message, and Sue Rigby, thanks for watching, and George also enjoying the racing today. Cyclo-cross magazine would like to know, Simon, do we know what the crowd size is here? I think they'd sold 18,000 tickets for yesterday.
Right, but they were still doing tickets on the day,
Yes,
so
exactly.
yeah, I don't know. It's no, the honest answer. Usually takes a couple of days to get accurate spectator numbers.
But that was just the pre-sales of yesterday.
Yeah.
And that will just double by the end of... If you see how many people are around this course, it's absolutely packed.
It's a good course for watching on as well, actually, for spectators. Zolder last year, it's a horrible course to watch on, but you can't really get around it very well because there's big fences everywhere, being a motor racing circuit. But this is nice and open. You can move around. It's quite a compact area. It's a nice one to watch on.
Making our way up the climb then, Michael Burton says his dad used to race against you, Simon, many times, and he's watching.
All right.
His dad's Steve.
And there's Steve Burton.
There we go.
Yeah.
As we make our way up the steps now, and there's a few riders trying to come back here. Andreasen is not too far back now. They can close the gap.
I don't think he's going to move forward from there. They were just going to kind of continue to lose time rather than gain time. The two that are a surprise to me is a bit, obviously he's had a couple of crashes, just trying a little bit too hard, but the one we haven't seen been totally out of shot is Quinton Hermans.
Yeah.
Haven't seen him at all, and that was a surprise to me. I had him down for to be in the mix at the front.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of pre-race, I had Nievenhuis and Hermans, Bertolini and Isabit,
Yeah.
and maybe Andreasen would be at the front. But Hermans, yep, he's not anywhere near. He's 6th place right now, 55 seconds down. We'd maybe have expected a different performance. Interestingly, Isabit, didn't he ride the National Championships of Belgium? He decided to ride it as an elite to see how he could compete against the elites and finish something like 19th. And many people said it might have been the wrong decision because it just gave him a little bit of a very, very hard workout on a day that perhaps he could have gone out and really boosted his morale and won a national title.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that riding up categories. I'm quite a believer in staying in category unless you're so exceptional that it makes absolute sense. You know, we saw Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert move up, but they were, probably a little bit of a class above the rest of the under-23s at that time, and they were capable of winning the elite races, and then it makes sense. I think unless you're able to go straight into the and be competitive in the front three of the elite race, I'd probably prefer seeing riders stick to category.
Here's Joris Nievenhuis, who is the leader of this race, going through now with another lap, and that was a 7:36 that time. Drops of 4 seconds on the last time. 3 laps completed. We've got another 4 laps to go now in this under-23 title, but at this moment in time, Nievenhuis, but never say never on anything to do with cyclocross. Nievenhuis is having a great race at the front. And of course, yesterday, he saw Anne-Marie Verst win the under-23 women's title. So he will have already seen the rainbow bands being brought back to the team hotel, as we see Tace Arts now with a bit of an advantage on Bertolini as they cross the line this time. Just taking a look, the time is now 44 seconds, 48 to Bertolini.
53 to Klepper.
Yep, fading away a little bit. Number 18 there is Joshua Dubau, who goes through. And the Spanish rider producing a great performance, Felipe Orts, wearing number 48, now in 7th place. But Nievenhuis, we'll just be hoping now that technically everything stays together. There's Andreasen with Eli Isabit, who's now in 11th place, 123 down. Andreasen 122 down. We just saw the Frenchman Clement Rousseau go through, and more groups of riders behind. There's the first rider from the United States of America as we switch back to the front with Joris Nievenhuis making his way down the little descent off the bridge to crisscross all over this area. About 25 minutes of racing now have been covered. still, I guess the silver and bronze medals are up for a decision here. Klepper will be trying to continue to get back to Tace Arts, but Nieuwenhuis just got to concentrate on keeping the power as high as possible and not let anyone come back to him. Very, very comfortable indeed at 44 seconds. Doing what few riders have been able to do, but now that the conditions have been changed, he's able to just open up the advantage. Yesterday, he saw Marianne Vos desperately trying to get away, and those mechanical problems on the run into the finish were the undoing, I guess, of a possible World Championship win, because she looked very, very good, but it was an emotional day for Sanne Cant. Looking at the course now, so Simon, in terms of the elite men's race, I think we're going to see an incredible race with this type of surface.
I think we are, yeah, absolutely. I think it's all to play for this afternoon. I think the mind games in that category have been going on for a week or so now between the Dutch and the Belgians. It's going to be an interesting one.
A couple of questions. Dejan Nicholson, what gear ratios do we use in cyclocross, Simon? Which is an interesting question.
Yeah, probably got, I think on the double ring, 39.46, 39.44 with a 11 or a 12 to 25 cassette on the back, that kind of range. On a course like this, there's only the one kind of bottom gear climb, lowest gear climb that we're seeing, so it's all, well, most of this course is big ring, so it's, for those on a single ring, it's, yeah, again, around that.
Nieuwenhuis
38.40.
looks like he's very comfortable at the front of the race as we see the riders power their way down this descent. Ben Walkerdon of Australia, the lone Australian in this race, is running 52nd at the moment at this point in the race with 27 minutes gone. Another question, what footwear do they wear? Do they have spikes in the shoes? Do they have studs in the shoes? So what do they choose to wear?
It's an off-road shoe, so it's generally a mountain bike shoe nowadays. A cyclo-cross shoe doesn't really exist in its own purest form. An off-road shoe, and they've all got threaded holes in the front to put a variety of either spikes or studs, depending on the conditions, depending on you can get different length of spikes. Depends how icy it is. You don't really want to be having a metal spike or a metal stud necessarily on ice. If you have to jump off on that, they can be quite slippery. If you don't have to get off at all, you don't need the grip, then you tend not to have anything in. You just have like a sleeper screw in there just to stop the threads getting filled up, but then it does make engaging with the pedal a little bit easier if you don't have a spike or a stud in. You can see Bertolini still trying to get some blood into that hand. Yeah,
he's suffering a little bit now with the cold. It just gives you an indication it is very, very cold out here. And Bertolini trying to get some life back into that hand, because, of course, he's got to be able to change gear and he's got to be able to brake as well and just get control. Still looking good, though, when he shoulders the bike. Lovely technique as he now sprints his way up the stairs. Looking across was Tace Arts. Actually, interestingly, he was looking across to the right-hand side to try and work out where everybody was, and certainly got his wits about him. Nieuwenhuis is the leader. If you've just joined us now, this is the Under-23 World Championship here in Bieles in Luxembourg on a muddy, cold day in Luxembourg. But the rider who is the leader, Joris Nieuwenhuis, has gone out on the attack. He took Simon Andreasen with him, and at this moment in the race, he just looks extremely comfortable. He's got the lines nailed around this course. He has a little problem with this corner.
Well, he's jumping off. I think he's quite comfortable jumping off on it. It's a long way down to jump off there.
Yeah.
Just had an interesting question from Dave Smith, one of the great endurance cycling coaches of our current generation, asking why riders jump the barriers when they don't appear to save any time, why they don't dismount and jump over them with everybody else when they're still at a risk of crashing on them. And it's an interesting one. It's I think the Spaniard was riding these barriers here, and he's not really gaining any time, and there is a risk of crashing. We see it a lot. You can do it 6 times out of 7 laps, and it might save you a second or two, but the 7th lap, if you get it wrong, you lose a significant amount of time. So he's asking, are they showing off? I don't think he's really showing off. I think he's just more comfortable staying on the bike. But on other courses, not necessarily this one, you can see where it makes a massive difference to stay on the bike. And still slippy as down that section.
Very slippy, and now he's got his bike caught up in the various hoardings at the side of the track. That is an interesting question. It doesn't save massive amount of time, but maybe just feel more comfortable being on the bike and knowing that you don't have to get off, you don't have to put your feet back in the pedals and all those sort of things. Yeah. 24 kilometers an hour then for that lap. That was a fast lap by Nievenhuis. He's done a 7:30, 7:32, 7:36, 7:35. Very consistent. No less up.
Yeah, and just this couple of seconds we saw when he changed bikes, that would account for that, but he's a metronome around here at the moment. And it's given Bertolini a little bit of breathing space in second with the problems that Taysart's had on the camber.
There's Bertolini making his way out on the course. This is our early, the French teammate of our early leader. Bertolini now making his way across the line in second place at 52 seconds. He's left behind Taysart, who had that problem, who is now crossing the line, and that is 1 minute and 2 seconds down. Nicolas Klepper is now with him. So the Dutch lead with an Italian in second place and 2 Belgians in third and fourth place. This is number 18, the Frenchman. This is Joshua Dubau, who's producing a good performance here. Still the Spaniard, Felipe Orts, is holding on to 7th place. We've now got a thread of how many people know you, Simon, whose dads used to race with you.
Yeah, Nick Barnes.
Nick Barnes, Steve Barnes, did he used to race with you? And
I think that one's a Mickey take.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Chad Brown, how excited are we for the World Cup in Waterloo next season? Well, of course, the World Cups were announced for next season. There's 7 in total. I'm sitting here with my Waterloo World Cup jacket that was kindly brought to me yesterday on my chair. So we're excited.
Yeah, thanks Waterloo for my jacket. I don't think...
No, yours hasn't arrived yet. Yeah. We'll make sure that happens.
Just had a message from Grant Kepler in Australia saying it's 25 centigrade in Sydney at 9:30 p.m. How is it here? Yeah, it's not quite 25 here, as you can probably tell by Bertolini trying to shake the blood back into his fingers.
Exactly. There he is, looking strong. He's going for a medal here, and there's the Italians will be extremely pleased with a medal in this World Championship. It's a fantastic performance by him. Yesterday we had a little bit of history with Sanne Cant becoming the first Belgian woman to win the world title. Has there ever been an Italian medalist in the World Championships? Yep, Christian Cominelli was the bronze medalist in Treviso in Italy in 2008, but apart from that we haven't seen many Italians apart from Enrico Franzoi win in 2003 in Monopoli in Italy, surprisingly.
In the last 2 days I've seen Daniele Pontoni and Vito Di Tano, both Italian world champions, walking around watching the racing.
Yeah,
in the old days obviously.
Yeah, well, great to see them here, but under 23s, not too many medalists, but they have got a great history, as Simon mentioned, in cyclocross. And this guy, if he takes a medal here, the Italians will go absolutely wild. On to the next little obstacles to get over. And now he's got daylight. He looks nice and comfortable.
He looks a bit more composed than he did. And I think I was really expecting this to be a 3 Belgians versus a Dutchman race, and it's not turned out to be the way at all. I was really expecting Isabeth, Hermans and Arts, the third one, to really try and take the race. And I thought with strength in numbers they could maybe give Nieuwenhuis some damage.
Well, as we say, he's comfortable, he falls off.
Yeah.
Just shows you how slidey it is. Bertolini He looked okay through this little section, and then
Yeah, he
suddenly...
just put the power on a little bit too soon.
Yeah.
A little bit too much. Well, the same things happened to Klepper in, to Tace Arts in third as well. So he was off his bike. Exactly the same. Oh, a little bit harder.
Had a little bit of a face plant that time.
You can just see where the rut is, where the netting ends.
Tace Arts trying to go for a medal here, maybe just pushing it a little bit, and he's in a battle with him and his teammate Nicholas Klepper so far at the front. I think Klepper's coming back up now to Bertolini. Oh, that was a lovely little back wheel kick around the barrier there by Bertolini. That was very stylish indeed. And he's taken a few seconds back out of the Belgian rider just behind him. Just shows you the technique and the skill of these young riders. Right, let's update you. Simon Andreasen of Denmark, as Bertolini shakes his hand again, it's clearly totally dead with the cold. Andreasen of Denmark in 9th place. The defending champion is down in 12th. He's not having a good day. Eli is a bit. It's certainly not his day out here on this this course, which is a bit of a shame. Spencer Petrov, United States 18th. Cooper Wilsley is in 20th place. Behind them, Gage Heth, 27th, just behind Lance Headhead of the United States of America in 26th place. Billy Harding of Great Britain in 39th place. Trevor O'Donnell of Canada is in 48th place. And in fact, he's just dropped back a little bit to 52nd place. And I'm just looking to see if we could find out where our Australian rider is. Ben Walkerden, 50th place at this moment in time.
You've got Spencer Petrov on that list, being asked where he is by...
Spencer Petrov, 18th at this moment in time.
There you go, Petrov cycling. Spencer's 18th.
Right, this is our leader, Joris Nievenhuis, who is going to come round next time with only a couple of laps of racing to go. And we'll see if he can continue the way he has done. He set out his stall as riders running here, trying to get back to the pits.
Yeah, Japanese rider, so he's going to get pulled at the 80% at the end of the lap. As he gets to the, well, even if he does get to the pit, he'll be out of the race.
Tim Johnson is watching and enjoying the racing. Thanks to all of you for your tweets at Macross and at Simon Burney. Oh, and a crash here for Frenchman in that same position. And this is Tony Peru, who has crashed, just going all the way to the side and underneath the barriers with the bike almost, and deciding to take a lie down in the mud.
People viewing in Lesotho in Africa, and where it's significantly warmer than here. Hi to Mark West, the man behind mountain biking in Lesotho.
Christian Hula, and is enjoying watching this young rider on the fantastically slippy conditions, but he is looking really comfortable. Number 5th lap, 7:38 that time, drops 3 seconds. And still Bertolini is going to lose a silver medal here if he can't just concentrate on the job in hand, because his hand's completely gone to sleep and he's just losing more and more seconds all of the time. He really is suffering out here in the cold.
Yes, Klepper's looking a lot stronger at the moment. And Arts is coming back as well. And the Spaniard's coming back. That's and the Frenchman. This could end up being an interesting race for second.
This is going to be an incredible race for the silver medal now. Oh, as we see them diving their way down the adverse camber. Tace Arts is at the bottom of the descent there. Here comes Felipe Orts, takes the high line actually.
Yeah, it's a nice line that you just missed that rut at the bottom that the low line takes you through. Bertolini needs to be careful. We're talking about him riding on emotion. If he does start to sulk a little bit because he's cold, you start to think about the wrong kind of things.
Yeah.
Concentration goes, and he's got 4 or 5 guys sitting behind him.
Well, he had quite a few seconds on the next riders, but now he's in danger of losing that second place. He just cannot get that hand to wake up, and it's not going to, though, is it? I mean, we really are in 2 degrees centigrade, with cold and wet, so you really are never going to warm up here. You just have to get on with the job in hand, otherwise you're going to lose a medal in the World Championships.
It is as painful as hell, though. It's the worst thing. Yeah, you start to get those pains in the fingers, and it's like you were saying, changing gear and braking, it's no fun at all. And Andreasen pointing at his front wheel, whether he's got a flat on that. We'll see. Well, I don't know if we will see if he goes into the pits, but he's trying to get a message to somebody.
Well, this under-23 race has been a race about Joris Nieuwenhuis. He's here at the front, the World Cup winner. 4 wins in the World Cup. No one right now is able to touch him. He has just got daylight between him and the rest of the field. There's Eli Isabit, who last year was so good. This year,
2 minutes down.
He's just nowhere near the form he was in last season. And finally, Bertolini is caught here by Nicolas Klepper of Belgium. This has been the danger man for that silver medal, and now he is riding extremely well. Bertolini's got to try and track him, otherwise he's going to lose a medal totally, because just behind him is Taysart and also Felipe Orts of Belgium. Bertolini now is trying to get some life into those legs, and he's kicking on hard. He suddenly realises that the possibility of a medal might be disappearing. And Nicolas Klepper now powering his way up over the bridge. And look at the race on now for the bronze medal behind.
I don't think Bertolini's going to finish with a medal, which will be a real shame, because he's been an animation in this race, but the chase behind him is looking a lot more focused than he is right now.
Yeah.
Klepper clear in second and looking concentrated, looking composed. Recovered well from the crash he had on the bottom of the steeper of the drops on the last lap. And look at that, Bertolini in for a bike as well.
Oh.
So he could end up 5th or 6th here if it doesn't go well on this last lap on a clean bike.
Changes onto the bike then. Maybe he's had a mechanical problem or something, or maybe he's...
I don't think so.
No, he's just having a bad moment.
He just needed a bit of motivation and a bit of morale boost for this last 2/3 of a lap. Meanwhile, the Belgians are riding away from his medal position.
Well, we've got the bell coming up next time as we look here at the leading riders. And jumping over the barriers there, Taysarts, and doing the bunny hop is Joshua Dubau. Felipe Orts senses the possibility of a medal. There's Bertolini.
For those asking, it is no faster. You can tell it's no faster. The approach into it's quite slow.
There's not much gap between the barriers either, is there? Bertolini, literally, he have to feel for him now. He's just desperately trying to get any sort of heat into the right arm. Oh, Joshua Dubau now decks it. And Felipe Orts held up by that, so he's going to lose a few seconds. This is a procession at the front in terms of Nieuwenhuis, which he's done in a lot of the World Cups this season. He doesn't have... you don't get the same feeling you get with him and Mathieu van der Poel when he was this age, but he's a similar style of rider. He's got that power, he's tall, he looks elegant on a bike, he just rides away.
He looks very smooth, and this has been a masterclass from him. I mean, straight from the first quarter of a lap, put his nose in front and never looked back. Andreasen tried to go with him, but there was nothing he could do. And that effort certainly paid for Andreasen. But the Belgians they missed that first half lap, and they've been on the back foot ever since. And it's looking like they might fill the podium now with second and third. But
the Spaniards trying to get there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Belgium 2-3, but the way that Nieuwenhuis took off on that first lap right now, and again, we never say never in this sport, and especially on this course, because we've seen so many incidents, so many broken bikes, so many crashes, that I think until he's on the tarmac of the finishing straight, I'm not going to count any chickens, but right now 40 to 50 seconds lead is you can have a bit of an off and still be quite comfortable.
The Netherlands, 2 Belgian riders, a Spaniard chasing to try and get into bronze medal, and is working hard. Bertolini stumbling a little bit on the steps. Joshua de Bouwer, France, is still there.
Second Dutchman as well. I can't think which one that was. Would that be Van der Heijden? Maybe was just looking up to the back of
Sieben
Bertolini.
Wouters.
Was it Wouters? Okay.
Sieben Wouters is up there for the Netherlands. He's not far behind. He's riding well, but we're still talking 1:42 from the leader as he powers his way uphill. And the current positions then: Nieuwenhuis, Teysarts, Nicolas Klepper, Felipe Orts, Joshua de Bouwer, Bertolini, Wouters, Hermans, and Bax, the other Dutch rider. Simon Andreasen of Denmark now in 10th place. Nieuwenhuis has that incredible race face, just doesn't give anything away. I think that's purely the difference between him and Van der Poel at this sort of age. Van der Poel shows emotion on his face a lot. He kind of gets the camera to focus on him a lot. As we look at these 2 riders then working their way around the course, Nieuwenhuis is going to come round with 1 lap of racing to go for the world title. Joris Nieuwenhuis, World Cup winner. Last lap of racing now.
7:41, I think, that lap.
Yep, 3 seconds slower than the lap before.
And he went in for a clean bike as well. So he's just like a metronome, just ticking the laps off. I think we've got 7 or 8 seconds between every lap, fastest to slowest.
Yeah, his fastest lap so far is a 7:30, and his slowest lap's a 7:41. So it's consistent the entire race. Bertolini.
Spaniard's done a nice ride there to get back up to the 2 Belgians.
Right, where's these medals going to go? Are they going to go to the Netherlands and Belgium, or are we going to see a Spaniard get onto the podium? Is Bertolini going to have one of his last lap power surges and come back and take the medal and take Orts with him, and we end up with no Belgians on the podium? It's still all to play for the silver and bronze medal here. Thank you for joining us for today's race, the Under-23 World Championships. And thanks to all of you for your messages at Antmacross and at Simon Burney as we see the riders go down the adverse camber. Felipe Orts, to me, is definitely in with a chance of a medal here. He's holding on to the wheel of the Belgians now, up over this little section. And we're going to come round now with, 1 minute 20 odd seconds, maybe 1 minute 30 is going to be the gap. So the leader is Nieuwenhuis. Behind him is Klepper, Teysarts, Felipe Orts. Bertolini now drops down to 5th place, but he's only a few seconds behind. He's 8 seconds behind the Spanish rider. That's doable in terms of the way that Bertolini normally rides. And Felipe Orts now is into 3rd place. Number 3 there, Teysarts, looks to me like he's absolutely suffering terribly now. Looks very cold indeed. When you've had the spray of very cold water for 48 minutes, your body at some point is going to really give in. Here's number 2 coming round. This is Quinten Hermans, who we had written down as a possible podium finisher. It's not been his day out here on this Bieles course, which is brutal. Kevin Bax goes through. Thomas Pidcock tweeted this morning to say he's woken up, he feels like he's ridden Paris-Roubaix after the course yesterday. I think that's probably to do with the win and dancing on the stage with a Lego head on.
Well, that shows he got it all out, which is good.
Here we go now with Felipe Orts. He's now into a possible medal position. In fact, he is going for the silver medal for Spain. Those of you who are Spanish fans, and I know there are many who watch because I get messages from you all the time, is he going to finish on the podium? This is a great performance by Felipe Orts of Spain. As we continue with our leading rider, who looks to be taking things relatively steady now out on this course to just make sure everything is managed all the way to the finish line. And Simon, you said to me yesterday, it's about a process for some of these, most of these riders, or certainly the British riders. You put in your best effort, and if it's the best you can do on the day, then that's all you can ask for. And he's doing it today.
Yeah, it is a process. You just you don't worry about anybody else really. Obviously, tactics come into it, and you have to consider other people in the race. But as far as your approach to the race, you know, you do the hard work in the weeks before it, and you come in and you go through a process in the days before and the hours leading into the race, and you ride as well as you can, and the result is almost not immaterial, but that's not you get the outcome that you've deserved, and it's something that's drilled into the British riders now from a very young age, and the systems are in place, and riders that ride on emotion, like a rider like Bertolini, or I think that's probably where it makes the difference. That you tend not to ride on emotion. You ride more on fact, and it sounds quite boring, but it's a more effective way of racing.
It's productive. It gets you medals as Felipe Orts goes plunging down that descent in second place now. Melanie's asked what's the difference in the lap times between the under-23s and the juniors. Just to give you an update then, 7:30 is the fastest lap in the under-23s, and yesterday Thomas Pidcock's fastest lap time was 8 minutes, but bear in mind how slippy it was and how icy it was.
Yeah, it's a hard comparison to make, I think. Just the courses are so different today and yesterday. I think again it's quite hard to compare, but
gives you a little indication. But Pidcock would probably have gone 10-15 seconds faster yesterday, perhaps. Here's our leader then, heading towards the emotional moment, hopefully, of pulling on the rainbow bands. The silver medal position is now Spain with Felipe Orts. Wearing number 4 is Nicholas Klepper in 3rd place. Behind him, another Dutchman is coming forward. That's Sieben Wouters, who is trying to get into the bronze medal position. Felipe Orts looking good, powering his way up that little climb. And now it looks like this Dutchman is trying to get to the bronze medal. There's a possibility that Belgium are not even going to get a medal here in this World Championship, because Sieben Wouters is on a massive move. His last lap time was very, very quick indeed. The fastest lap is Joris Nieuwenhuis with a 7:30, Taysarts with a 7:39. But now I think there is a big possibility of the Netherlands getting a gold and a bronze medal in this race. Nicholas Klepper is alongside Sieben Wouters, who now goes into the bronze medal position. What an incredible ride here. Joris Nieuwenhuis is leading, and the Belgians are right on the back foot as they make their way towards the end of this race.
Amazing last lap. Yeah, a lap ago you wouldn't have... well, I was saying Belgian 2-3 looked pretty good, comfortable to me, but just shows what can happen in 7.5 minutes of racing.
Yeah. Nicholas Klepper and Taysarts really suffering. Bertolini, we know, has been suffering all the time. Andreasen is in 9th place. We just saw him go down that descent. As we look here at Nicholas Klepper, who's struggling to stay on the wheel of Sieben Wouters, the 2 Belgian riders off the podium, as things continue around this very, very tough course. The Belgian riders' shoulders all over the place. This has been an incredibly hard last lap of this race, and we're approaching 53 minutes of racing. Joris Nieuwenhuis leads this World Championship. He's not far now from the finishing line. He's about to see the gantry. He'll sit up. He will shake his head now. It is going to be the world title for Joris Nieuwenhuis of the Netherlands, with a prolific victory on this course in Bieles. He takes the win after nearly 54 minutes of racing, and the Netherlands now have 2 world champions in these titles. The Spaniard Felipe Orts now is going for the silver medal. Behind him is Sieben Wouters. The 2 Belgians are desperately trying to get their nation into the medals as Bertolini crashes and takes down the Frenchman as well. It's passion overflowing in Italy. Who is going to take the silver medal? Where is he? Felipe Orts of Spain. And it looks like the Belgians, it was just a few minutes too much for them. Felipe Orts takes this big high line that he's been taking every single lap that seems to have worked really well for him. And now Klepper is coming back to the wheel of the Dutchman. Ooh, and skids it. Who is going to take it onto this climb now? It's a battle for the bronze medal. And it is Sieben.
That's Arts in third.
Wouters, and Arts has come back. Is Arts going to get there? And Felipe Orts is going to take the silver medal. He's ecstatic with that. He pulls a wheelie. Silver medal for Felipe Orts. It's the bronze medal for number 11, Sieben Wouters. And the Belgians are absolutely broken.
Tace Arts in flood of tears there. Klepper. Belgium will be devastated with that. To say before the start there wouldn't be a Belgian on the podium, I don't think anybody would have put money on that one.
Coming in now is Joshua Dubois, who was always there or thereabouts in the race. He finishes in 6th place, 155 down. Bertolini, that right arm just never woke up. 7th place for him.
Interesting question about the finishing straight. Is it concrete slabs or is it tarmac from Paul? You can see the lines. It's actually the lines that you can see are covered over pedestrian crossings. It is a tarmac finishing straight. And we're now seeing Andreasen. Top 10 finish for Andreasen. 8th place, 2:28 down. Quinton Hermans in 9th. Kelvin Bax in 10th.
Well, if we go back and look through the entire under-23 list of riders, we've never seen a Spanish rider on the podium. As we wait now to hear from our winner, Joris Nieuwenhuis of the Netherlands, the new under-23 world champion.
Joris, congratulations! What an incredible race today. We've seen you flying on this muddy course.
Yeah, it was really fantastic. In the beginning, I immediately felt good, and I know before the race I was ready for it. But you don't know in the race, such a race like this. So I'm really happy.
How did you do to hold off? I mean, the attacks from the Belgians and all the guys behind you.
I just rode my own race and didn't think of others. And I know I had to keep myself straight, and I didn't fail. So I think it was good.
You managed to have a huge gap at the end, 1 minute and a half. How did you manage to do that?
Just cycling as fast as I can.
You like this kind of course and surface and weather conditions, very muddy, very slippery?
Yeah, I like slippery courses and such technical courses like this. I really like it, and also mental I was ready for it, and physically I was ready for it, so it was good for me today.
And Dutch riders made it 1 and 3 today. That's a great performance for the Netherlands.
Yeah, Siebe is such a boss. He's a hero.
So now it's just one race missing, the men elite race. So what's your prediction? What's your what you would like to see as a performance?
I think Mathieu is going to win.
What about your? What about the future for you? We know that you're a road racer too. Between cyclocross and road racing, what's coming next for you?
Yeah, I really like cyclocross, and I'm gonna ride in my rainbow jersey for the next year. And on the road, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. So.
Okay. Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best. Thank you very much, Joris. Thank you.
Joris predicts a win for Mathieu in the elite race, but at the moment it's all about him winning this world title here for the Netherlands. A great race for him.
A great race, and what we were saying earlier, you know, he said he didn't think about anybody else, just rode his own race, and I don't think he really knew if he had 15 seconds or a minute 15 seconds, but he rode exceptionally well. He said he didn't fall, and I think on this course that shows a measured, controlled, well-executed race, technically sound, totally in control of it.
The two Belgian riders was just a few minutes too much for them. An emotional moment for Nieuwenhuis. Great victory by him. Rode at the front the entire race pretty much. Once he got the gap, no one ever was able to come back to him. He's so strong.
He's got a look of Lars Boom about him as well, a little bit.
He does.
When he was that age as well, so it's a similar style.
What's great, and we mentioned this yesterday, is how much it means to even anyone in second and third place. There's no disappointment there at all. It's absolute ecstatic and a great day for Spain.
That's awesome, yeah. And it's great to see these new nations coming through. You know, you can't take anything away from the powerhouses of Belgium and the Netherlands, but it's always really nice to see a smaller nation where it's not such a big cycling discipline like Spain take a medal. It means so much to everybody there, so much to federations. It means that they can maybe try and find some funding to support the younger riders off the back of a medal at the World Championships. It's a really big deal.
Well, look at that. The fans absolutely loved that race. There's a nice shot there from the back where you see what happens for a rider when they cross the line. All the photographers, the bank of the internationals press taking a look at them. Here's the highlights then of an enthralling race, particularly for the silver and bronze medals. Very early, the Dutch riders were at the front. The early pace was really set by Andreasen and Nieuwenhuis. Andreasen did really well to try and go with the move of the Dutchman, but once Nieuwenhuis went, Andreasen really started to suffer and went backwards, eventually ending up in 8th place at the end of today's race. Elizabeth had a challenging day, a few crashes. This was crash number 1 for him. Kind of summarises the day for the Belgians. Meanwhile, the Dutch riders looking strong. Bertolini had a passionate and emotional race. The Belgian riders just seem to have more crashes than anyone else today. Just maybe pushing that little bit too hard to try and get a result. There's so much pressure on these riders' shoulders. So we see Bertolini here. This is when he really started to suffer. He just couldn't feel his right hand. Taysarts had a crash. Nicholas Klepper for a while looked like he would be the silver medalist. He caught Bertolini. Bertolini having to have a bike change towards the end of the race. But ominously, right behind was Felipe Orts. You can see him there in the yellow and red of Spain. Slowly but surely, he reeled in the Belgian riders in front of him. Almost got brought down by the crash of Dubois. But once he saw these two riders, then it was all about catching them and going for the podium. Once he did, though, he cracked the rest of these riders. Taysarts managed to hold on to the wheel. But along the way, it looked like we were going to see a Belgian rider at least get a bronze until Steven Wouters had totally different ideas and caught them on the last lap. Nicholas Klepper, you could see that glance across. Meanwhile, Nieuwenhuis was the winner. He's taken today's victory. Felipe Orts wheelies across the line to take second place. And Steven Wouters takes the bronze medal. No Belgians on the podium in this race. Here's our results then. Joris Nieuwenhuis is the world champion. Felipe Orts in second place takes the silver. Steven Wouters in third place for the Netherlands. Andreasen with his early moves was in 8th place today. Other names that we expected to be there, like Quinten Hermans, down in 9th place. And the defending champion, Elizabeth, outside the top 10 riders and well over 2.5 minutes down. In fact, 3:55 at the finish. The first American rider, Spencer Petrov, in 18th place. And that's the makeup of the top 20 riders. So we wait for the podium to present the rainbow bands to the new world champion. So after what we've seen then, Simon, does it give you any indication of what might happen this afternoon?
It's a difficult one. I think it's all about mind games. I think it's who's going to be the strongest mentally this afternoon, and I think it's going to be fascinating. Van der Haar's going to be coming into this race from a huge high from Hoogerheide last weekend. Van der Poel, bad weekend last week, but came off the back of a training block in Spain. You know, hopefully he's got the confidence to have rested up and for that training to have taken effect by this weekend. And Wout van Aert, you know, coming back from an injury, so it's going to be an interesting one, very, very interesting, and I think it's going to be played out in the very early on in the race, maybe even before the start, in the heads of those three riders. I think the conditions can provide a great race. I don't think it's really suiting necessarily one above the other. I think they're all technically quite proficient. There's no significant amount of running that would favour one over another. It's going to be about who can keep it together, who can deal with the adversity, because we've seen in this race, Nieuwenhuis didn't fall, but everybody else did, and I think it's how you deal with those kind of situations. But it's going to be a thrilling hour for sure.
It is, without any shadow of a doubt. We're going to enjoy that later on. In the meantime, we're going to enjoy watching the podium presentation here in this under-23 race.
Quite a few questions coming in about why there's such a big gap between the under-23 race and the elite race. It's a 3 hour. Well, it's 3 hours from now, the elite race, and questions about whether it's just a ploy to sell more beer in the beer tents, and that's a little bit. It's a big economic impact for a race organiser, but it's also about television schedules. They tend to the Northern European TV takers tend to like to keep to a 3 o'clock start time for their audiences, so it's tends to be based around that. But it's 3 hours of opportunities for the tens of thousands of people here to go and have some fun and do some people watching, because it's a big deal. There's so many interesting fan clubs and groups of people around, and the beer tents are full.
No, for sure.
Luckily the rain's holding off. It's looking like it could rain a little bit again. It rained this morning and it's looking a little bit like that. Be interesting to go and do another lap of the course to see if it's changed significantly since 9:30 this morning when I last had a look. But again, we can see from the last laps of the under-23 race, it's still as slippery, very, very slippery out there.
To be fair, it's also time for the Muppets to meet the Lego men and for selfies to be done. I mean, there's an awful lot of things that will happen in 3 hours.
Yeah, just keep checking Instagram throughout the afternoon. I think you'll see some great sights.
Everyone's getting ready then for this podium presentation as we wait to present the first rainbow bands of today and the second to a Dutch rider in these championships. Here they come. Joris leads out. And loads of tweets now about this man from Spain, Felipe Orts. A lot of love on Twitter for him.
First and second. Okay, you
He's
follow the you stay behind the
for that wheelie and the emotion he showed on the last lap and the way he rode. I think he's got an awful lot of fans at the end of today's race.
Okay. Ready?
Ladies and gentlemen.
It's a great race, man.
Let me say it again. Ladies and
You
gentlemen.
didn't expect this, or
Welcome to the World 2017 UCI Cyclo-cross World Championships.
I like the fact we can hear what they're saying behind the podium.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
A lot of humility being shown to each other. Joris saying to Felipe, if you didn't hear then, that was a great race, man. I bet you didn't expect that. And Felipe saying, you were just so strong. Here they come then, onto the podium. Steven Wouters of the Netherlands. He's so happy with his bronze medal. He was such a long way down. He never let up. Just kept trying, and he has now got a medal from the World Championships.
Championships for the under-23 men.
Die Siegerehrung der UCI Radquer-Weltmeisterschaft der Kategorie U23 Herren.
In third place, winner of the bronze medal from the Netherlands.
Auf dem dritten Platz und Gewinner der Bronzemedaille aus den Niederlanden.
Steven Walter!
Steven Wouters is the bronze medalist here in Bieles. And that smile, I don't think it's going to disappear for about a week.
Jose Manuel Bieles, member of the UCI Management Committee.
Die Medaillen und das Weltmeistertrikot werden überreicht durch David Lapartien, der Vizepräsident der UCI.
Just shows you, don't ever let up, just keep going, keep going. Something will happen in front of you in cyclocross. And you can go from, I think he was down in about 6th place, to suddenly being in the bronze medal position. Just to let you know, Steven Wouters had the second fastest lap. It was on lap number 7, the 7-minute 36 lap. That's what got him the bronze medal.
In second place and winner of the silver medal from Spain.
Auf dem zweiten Platz und Gewinner der Silbermedaille aus Spanien, Felipe Orts.
The fans love him after today. Felipe Orts, the silver medalist. A great performance.
Hier Applaus zur Silbermedaille, noch einmal Felipe Orts.
In first place, winner of the gold medal and your new world champion from the Netherlands.
Auf dem ersten Platz Gewinner der Goldmedaille und der neue Weltmeister aus den Niederlanden.
Joris onto the top step of the podium as the world champion. Pulls on the rainbow bands. I've just seen Tom Mayusen and Kevin Powell's ride. Have a look at the podium and now ride away. I think they expected to see a Belgian rider on the podium.
How about that? Joris Neuwenhuis.
And now the flowers will be presented and we wait for the national anthem of the Netherlands.
As well as Francine Klosner, the Secretary of State for Luxembourg.
Die Blumen werden überreicht durch Simone Asselborn, Binz, der Chefin der Gemeinde Sanem-Bellevaux und Francine Klosner, die Staatssekretärin von Luxemburg.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention for the playing of the national anthem of the Netherlands.
Zu Ehren des neuen Weltmeisters spielen wir die Nationalhymne der Niederlande.
The Dutch welcome another world champion in these World Championships. Joris Nieuwenhuis with a display of fantastic racing on this Bieles course. There's our podium. Felipe Orts takes the silver. Sieben Wouters takes the bronze medal. And all in all, Simon, perfect example of how to win a cyclocross race.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, and we can see if compatriot Mathieu van der Poel can repeat that this afternoon.
We'll see if that happens. Of course, Joris has predicted that Mathieu will win, but it's going to be a fantastic elite men's race later on. But that one was thrilling to decide what happened for the silver and bronze medals. We thought that the Belgians were going to take silver and bronze, and they eventually faded away in that closing lap to take nothing. Spain and the Netherlands closing out the podium. Great racing from the under-23 men. As we get ready to turn our attention now to the men's elite race, Joris will now sign the rainbow jersey as normal.
Ja, es geht jetzt eine kleine Pause und dann um 15 Uhr der große Showdown der Eliteherren. Lasst es euch gut gehen, ob bei Bus oder Pommes und sonstigen guten Sachen. Um 15 Uhr großes Rennen der Eliteherren.
Well, thank you very much to all of you for joining us for today's coverage of this Under-23 World Championship. There's the signature of the new world champion at Under-23 level. Everyone is going to get fueled up ready for now the men's elite race, which is coming up in 3 hours' time. So we have a little bit of a gap. We'll leave you with the sights and sounds of what's happened in these World Championships so far. Goodbye for now.